And then some people don't set goals because they hate failing. They feel like if they set a target, they won't be able to pull through and then they'll fail. But then if you've tried creating a business, you realize that failing is so normal, especially if you created one and it failed and you created another one and it failed. Like failing is so part of success. And we've been reading this all over, like all the very successful people that we look at, they've been trying things and they've been failing. So I came across a saying that says successful people fail very many times more than unsuccessful people, because successful people are going to fail and they'll quit at the very first instance. Then successful people are going to fail and then they're going to keep setting new targets, failing. But then what they're achieving with this is they're getting that experience that other people have not been able to get. So yes, set goals, fail, modify the goals, keep moving. It doesn't mean that if you've ever failed at a goal, that's the end of it. No, it means there was something that you should have reached somewhere, and we'll look at that later. And yeah, it's an experience and it will be part of the success story. And then ability is saying it's so complicated. Where do I even start from? Like someone feels like goal setting. There's a lot of material on the internet, and yes, there is a lot of material because in 2020, like I told you, when I was starting on this channel, I came across so many things, and it takes a lot of time to get really what works for you. But I've tried to summarize it in these slides, and I'm very sure it's going to become easier and you'll be able to have a starting point. So if it was seeming weird and sort of hard previously, then yeah, by the end of this session, you'll be able to have a start. And someone is like, do living people really do that? Like some people feel like no one ever really sets goals. Well, I'm an example, and so many others are examples of goal setting actually works. And yes, there are living people who do this and they achieve goals and they get better and better at life and happy as well. So if you have any other reasons why you've not been setting goals, yeah, let me know in the comment section, guys. We're moving on to our next slide. So if you look at someone is going to be like, well, you've talked about all the reasons why you shouldn't goals, and I've been mentioning also some why you should set goals. Then we have this lovely lady here, and they're saying that how can you make sure you never miss your target? Shoot first, and whatever you hit, call it the target. And this is what I was calling drifting. If you don't set goals, you're just drifting through life. You're going to just whatever success that you achieve, it will be sort of accidental. You didn't aim for anything. So sort of you hit something and you feel that is a great way to live, but you missed out. Like in business, it's called leaving money on the table. You saw a 10K and thought, wow, I got this accidentally. But well, in the other corner, there was 100K that you should have aimed at and you could have achieved it. But since it wasn't intentional, you missed that. And you think 10K is the best you can get. So that's why you should set goals. There's always something better. And the only way you can be able to see that better thing is if you're making intentional steps towards your goal. So the first bullet I have here of why we should set goals says goals provide motivation. When I was researching, I realized there is a chemical that's released in our brains that's called endorphin. Endorphins are released when we set targets and achieve them. It's sort of, they call it a happy drug in the brain. I think that there are like 4 or 5 happy enzymes for the brain, and endorphin is part of it. So the more you set goals and achieve them and make intentional steps towards your goals, and then you start ticking off these things, that endorphin is going to be released every time. And every time it releases, you get happy, you get motivated to keep pushing, you become, you reduce stress in your life. And guess what? You start, I'm calling it an intentional life, but then there is an ownership that comes to it. You realize that your life, everything that ever happens in your life is a decision that you made. Like it's your sole decision. So you stop being, I was going to say a burden to people, but then you realize that you stop blaming people for the faults that are happening in life or for anything that your friends may not help with. Say you wanted 100K from your friend and then they're not able to send it. If you wanted that 100K for something and you had set it up at the start of the year, you're going to find all reasons to get that money, and you won't have your focus set on someone. So when you do intentional steps, you've been able to work, you've been able to get that 100K you wanted for something, you get endorphin release in your mind, in your brain, you become a happier person, like you become a better friend, you start owning your life, you're in control, in the driver's seat now. You're determining the decisions that you make, you determine the outcome that you want, and then we'll be looking at a point later where I realize that actually there is a guy I like in personal growth, and I'm going to recommend that guys to you guys later in the cookie jar. The guy is called Brian Tracy. He has so many laws of life, but then he says the law of belief, whatever you believe actually happened, like whatever you believe with conviction happens in reality. So you sort of determine your output, like you determine whatever happens in your life. And that is the motivation I'm talking about here. So you've set your goals, you've achieved your goals, you're going to get that urge to keep pushing because you've seen intentional steps result into achieving your goals. And then here I'm saying goals push us forward, because every time you achieve something, you're moving from, say, level 1, and you're being propelled. And the growth I'm putting here is not a straight line growth, like you're moving from point 1 to point 2. With goal setting, it's more of an exponential growth. It's not an x equals 2y, it's an x equals x power, x equals y power, something like exponential is, there is no whiteboard here. I would have demonstrated how that curve looks like, but it's more than double. And later I'll be explaining anyway, not late on this video, like later on my channels, I'll be explaining that 8th wonder of the world, which is called compound interest. So goals work in a similar manner. The interest that you get, the kind of movement that you get, the growth that you get in your life is not a straight line thing. It propels you, and everyone can clearly be able to see that you are a totally different person. And it all comes with intentional living. You determine your goals, you determine the steps that you're taking towards your goals, and you determine the outcome that you want. Then in life, you need a measuring stick. You cannot be able to know that you're growing unless you have a benchmark that you're measuring from. You're not going to be able to know that your net worth has doubled in a year unless you know where you started from. So that is why we set goals. If you want to keep growing, you're supposed to have a foundation, like have a start point where you want to come from, set a target, and then you'll be able to measure, well, I'm off by just a point, I'm off by just a month, I'm off by just a few kilograms, like that. And yes, the more you achieve, the more endorphin is released in your brain. Like I said, the more you get motivated, and the more you keep pushing and becoming a better person in life. Then go set priorities and inform action. Like I said, someone randomly walks to you right now, gives you 500 million, and you're like, okay, it's yours, decide what you want to do with it. If you find someone who does not have any goals, 100% of the time, that money is going to be wasted. They're not going to be able to get something meaningful. But guess what? Assuming you had a goal, let me say what? Ashimi, I wanted to do my MBA next year. Someone notes to me and they're like, 500 million is there. And I have my goals, do an MBA, construct a house, buy this, buy this. I automatically know what to use that money for. And I know in what order of priority. So give a kid 500 million, they will run and buy a weird phone, they will run and get a Bentley, or they'll run and get a gold-plated Jaguar. And then they're forgetting there are so many other things that are priority, and they won't be able to realize, to know this, unless they have goals set. There is a certain guy called Moses Mukisa. He's a pastor at Worship Harvest. I was listening to him recently, and he said, your feet will never be where your mind has not been. So you first internalize these things that you want to achieve. They have to first get into your brain. You have to conceive them into your brain first. And then any chance that you get, they'll become reality, because it was a seed planted in your brain. But if it's not there, then like your brain won't be able to have a basis of reminding you that, well, you have this to do, so this is the first priority. If it wasn't there in your brain, there won't be anything like priorities in your life, and you live a very wasted life because of no priority. And then goals communicate meaning and purpose in life. Yes, like I said, we're built to achieve things. Unless we tell our brains, unless we give our brains commands that you're supposed to be doing this, this is our focus this year, your brain is going to automatically create something to achieve. And those things either mediocre or they always work against you. So when you realize that, well, if I don't tell my brain what we are going to do, it's going to achieve something anyway. So you better well as well tell it what to achieve. If you want an intentional life, you want things that work for you and not against you, then you're supposed to tell your brain what you really want to achieve. So if you look at all the things that we mentioned here, it all comes to one major part called a mindset. So a mindset is a lens in which we see the world. And you have a cloud here saying there are so many forces around you. Yes, they are scary, but the greatest you should overcome if you want to have a growth mindset is yourself. You're the person in the mirror. So mindset determines everything that happens, like everything that has ever happened and will happen in your mind is all within mindset. This either limits what you're supposed to achieve in life, or it gives you like a better ground, can I say. Like if you're in a company of people and both of them believe that there is no way you can cross a certain bridge, and then if you're the only person who believes otherwise, you'll be able to cross that bridge because you'll not be able to look at all the limitations around. So mindset determines what we achieve and what we don't achieve in life. And then still about mindset. So I realized that the hardest mindset is something that's the hardest to change about a human. I was reading about a story about the Exodus of the Israelites. And there is a verse, I wish I'd gotten it for you, but then it reads that if God had made these Israelites to take the shorter route, they would have changed their mindset, because that shorter route had wars, like there was a war that they were supposed to encounter if they had taken that short route. And then he realized that if he was to take these people through that hardship, they would have changed their mind and they would have been like, well, just take us back to Egypt, where we're coming from, like who were slaves, yes, but we're not in war, we were being beaten, but it wasn't war. We were beaten, we could just be in prison and then proceed with our lives. So guess what God did? He had to take them through a longer route to do what? To kill off the whole old generation that had a mindset that he didn't want. That is how bad it is. Not even a miracle could change the mindset of Israelites. Like, this has to be an intentional step by an individual. You cannot even pray for someone to have a mindset change. Even if you fast for them, the mindset won't change. I've researched about that, and I'm totally sure you cannot pray for someone to have a mindset change. It can't happen. It is something that someone has to do themselves. They have to realize that, well, this is a restricting factor I'm putting on myself, and they have to make intentional steps to move away from that. And this has a lot to do with what we achieve in life, and it has a lot to do with the goals that you're going to set and with the actions that you will take and how you will move in any hardships that you'll find. So, and then as I was doing my research, I realized that there are two mindsets that they focus on in NASA, that NASA. So when they're when they're saving the astronauts they're supposed to take, they focus on who has a growth mindset and who has a fixed mindset. So we're going to start with a fixed mindset. So people with a fixed mindset, they have this character that they don't challenge themselves. So they comfortable in the situations they are, and they feel they shouldn't change. This kind of person, however many opportunities you present to them, they'll never move. They'll never take charge of those opportunities, and they'll never transform them into achievable things, like tangible things. And then people with fixed mindset believe that talent and intelligence are belief. They're like, the only people who could ever be billionaires should have been born in a family of billionaires, and then someone of like an ancestor should have been able to have square miles of land somewhere. Like, all of us in life do not start from point 100. Some of us start from point 0. And then the issue with I'm calling it point 0, but some of us even start from point negative. The only way you can move from point negative and be able to sort of sit on the same table with people who started from point 100 is having a mindset change, is knowing that, well, I might have been, my whole ancestral history looks like so and so. And then it doesn't matter what happens to me in the future. That was history, and I have to do this and this and this to be able to move from this side of life to the other side of life. Well, people with a fixed mindset do not believe that. They believe that your history determines your future, and they believe that you're supposed to have specific talents and a certain level of intelligence for you to achieve something. So people are not hired by NASA because in space, they're going to encounter so many things, and then they'll keep saying, well, I don't have this skill. I'm not the person who has to deal with this. Then they want more skilled people. They want people who can be able to learn different skills, and they can only learn if they have this other mindset that we're going to talk about. And then people with a fixed mindset believe that failure once means failure forever. These are people who are like, yes, I tried creating a business and it's a lot of hard work. I tried studying, and then that course is so hard. No one has ever passed it in history. Even people who pass it at third attempt. Stay away from these people, in short. And if you're this person, find a way to move to this kind of mindset, because this kind of mindset kills. You cannot be able to grow with a fixed mindset. You'll see opportunities and you'll let them pass, and your life will just be stunted forever because you won't be knowing how to transform them into tangible things. So let's look at this person with a growth mindset.